The night pulse is damp and alive. The jungle exhales heat, vapor, the muffled cries of nocturnal birds, and the sacred murmur of leaves. At the heart of this ancestral breath, there is a hidden place between twisted roots and moss-covered stones, where time stops. There, among the shadows pregnant with life and death, she lies, her belly heaving, eyes shut with pain, but sharp as blades. The jaguar's body glistens with sweat and blood. Her paws tremble. Instinct commands, it is time, and nothing else exists beyond what must be born. With a muffled crack, the first cub slips out like a fragment of a newborn world. She licks, cleans, breathes life into the speckled, blind, and defenseless body. The second comes soon after, then the third. 3 tiny hearts pounding beneath the warm flesh of a mother newly transformed into a complete beast. She is no longer just a feline. She is the jungle's womb, goddess of fangs and claws, guardian of the silent scream that upholds the chain of life. The camera dives into the details, the pulse in the mother's jugular, the mucus dripping onto the dirt floor, her golden eyes glowing with exhaustion and power. The cub's first minutes are filled with contact, scent, heat. No human sound touches that sanctuary. It is the forest in its rawest form, where every wing beat, every drop of dew, every breath of a lizard is a note in the living score of the planet. The mother licks the young with violence and tenderness. Her snout twitches. Even as she tends, she scents the world, because she knows. The jungle is not pure. Something is different. Something strange lingers in the air. It is not just humidity or natural predators. It is a metallic scent, faint, distant, but intrusive. The jaguar stiffens for a moment, as if an inner voice whispered, "Prepare." Then she returns to the cubs, curling around them like a living wall, a heart of war, a nest of protection. Around her, the forest breathes with caution. It's as if nature itself recognizes the gravity of that birth. Monkeys retreat, armadillos vanish. Even the insects seem to move with reverence. For there is something sacred in giving birth in the jungle, something even the fiercest predator dares not interrupt. And there, between the pulse of the roots and the murmur of the earth, the jaguar understands. Everything has changed. It is no longer about her. With every passing second, her soul stitches itself to those 3 tiny bodies. She feels when they tremble. She senses the exact moment one hiccups with hunger. She is pure instinct, but also a new kind of consciousness, the kind that would kill with eyes closed to protect what she birthed. Hours later, still beneath the jungle's deep darkness, the cubs sleep pressed against their mother, but their ears, though so small, twitch at every sound. The forest is vast and cruel, and in the nights to come, they will taste fear, brush against death, learn the price of silence. But for now, within that vegetal womb, wrapped in animal warmth and sap, there is an illusion of peace, and the jaguar, though exhausted, does not close her eyes. Her gaze stays open, fixed on some invisible point between the trees, because she knows what the cubs do not. The world does not respect life, and sooner or later, it will try to take them. And when that happens, she will be ready to kill or die, but never retreat. Day does not rise in the jungle, it erupts. The light is not gentle. It invades like a blade between the trees, filtered into violent beams that tear through the darkness, exposing the raw reality of the forest. The jaguar mother awakens before the sun even touches her skin. Her body still bears the marks of recent birth, muscles taut, ribs visible, paws soaked in dry mud and dried blood. But there is no room for weakness. The cubs, still small and clumsy, curl into each other like living meat dreaming, and she knows she must hunt, because milk demands flesh, and flesh demands death. She hides them beneath thick leaves, covering them with scraps of skin and the scent of her own urine, an ancestral camouflage against predators. The path she takes is silent, but each step is a sentence. Her sharpened scent guides her to familiar ground, an old hunting corridor her clan had ruled for generations. But the smell has changed. There are far fewer prey. The sounds have faded. The forest feels emptier, as if it were pulling away. Still, she moves forward. Her stomach burns. Her teeth ache. She must feed the hunger of the womb, a hunger that no longer belongs to her but to those who came from within. The first scent is that of a wounded peccary. She sees it limping, stumbling between branches. It would be easy prey, if it weren't coated in a strange odor, oil, something that does not belong to the jungle. The jaguar recoils. Instinct screams. This is no hunt. It's a trap. She turns her body and goes another way, deeper, darker. There at the edge between safety and hell, when she finally finds a lone capybara by the river, the attack is swift, brutal, and silent. Claws to the neck, a bite at the base of the skull. Blood sprays hot and red across the jaguar's golden fur. She does not savor. She carries, with effort, dragging the prey back to her cubs like an offering. The way is long, and the scent of death spreads. Vultures follow from above, but she does not care. The hunger of her young demands sacrifice. Upon reaching the den, the cubs awaken to the scent of their mother, and more than that, the scent of the kill. They don't yet know what it means to kill, but their tiny bodies tremble with excitement. The jaguar tears a piece of flesh with her teeth, chews, and feeds them with the milk drawn from her own entrails. It is a dance, an exchange. Flesh becomes milk. Milk becomes life. Life that one day will become claw. But not everything in the jungle dances to the same rhythm. In the distance, there are sounds that do not belong. Sharp snaps, human screams, an engine. The jaguar freezes. So do the cubs. She scents the air. Something new, something intrusive, something wrong. And then she sees them. In the distance, barely noticeable between the trunks, the first signs of the enemy. Wide footprints, the stench of gunpowder, and a rope strung with dangling bones. The territory is being invaded. The forest marked. The war has begun. But they don't yet know this mother does not run. This mother bites. She cradles her cubs with her body, as if her flesh alone could shield them from the world. But her eyes now are no longer just those of a mother. They are the eyes of a killer. She hunts. She bleeds. But if the threat comes for her cubs, she will become hell itself. The forest wakes with a sound that does not belong to it. A dry, metallic, off-key sound. It's not the bellow of a tapir, nor the growl of a giant sloth. It's something artificial, carrying the stench of gunpowder and sour sweat. The jaguar senses it before even opening her eyes. The sound rides the wind, cut and hesitant, but it carries a truth no mother can ignore. They are close. She rises in a raw jolt. The cubs are still asleep, piled atop one another like raw flesh dreaming. The ground around them is marked with footprints, too small to be hers, too erratic to belong to prey. They're childlike prints, but among them, one stands out, deep, with a double groove, a boot, a human, a man. Someone passed through, and it wasn't by chance. Instinct throbs. The whole forest holds its breath. The jaguar sniffs the air, cigarette smoke, metal, industrial soap, and something else, something rotten. A carcass decomposing, a warning, a bait. There is no fear in her, but instinct bellows. She nudges the cubs with her snout into a dense thicket and seals the entrance with leaves and mud. They whimper. She growls in silence. They obey. Then she goes, without a sound. Each step a silent curse. Each muscle drawn like a living arrow. Her eyes slash the jungle like blades. She follows the scent. Her blood sings. The forest, silent, watches. In the middle of the path, a serpent crossing, black, with dull eyes. She stares at it for 3 seconds. The serpent does not move, as if to say, "Turn back," but she doesn't. The man's scent is stronger now. The blood of spilled prey, flesh hanging from a rusty hook between 2 trees, a slashed armadillo, and on the trunk, a trap. The metal gleams like the tooth of a cursed beast, and there, just meters from the bait, he is the human, sitting, camouflaged, worn-out shirt, leather cap, rifle resting on his knee, cigarette in his mouth, cold eyes. One of those who kills for pleasure. She doesn't roar, doesn't charge, doesn't flee. She watches. She feels it. That man has killed a jaguar before. His scent carries the fear of other females. The forest hates him, and so does she. She retreats, slowly, but before vanishing, she notices something hanging from his belt. A necklace, made of fangs, and one of them is not from a boar, nor from a bush dog. It's jaguar. She recognizes the curve, the size, the sheen. Her jaw tightens. Her throat boils, because that fang belonged to the father of her cubs. She remembers. The pain pulses like an internal bite. She returns to the den like one returning from war. She bears no visible wounds, but each step drags with it the weight of a reopened memory. She enters the thicket. The cubs greet her with relief, but she does not touch them, does not lick, does not hum. She simply lies down and listens, because the serpent didn't move, because the armadillo was torn, because the man wears her mate's tooth, and because in silence the forest has declared war. In the middle of the night, one of the cubs crawls out. The mother sleeps with her eyes open. He wanders a few meters, fascinated by the glow of a firefly. The jungle embraces him until the snap. A sharp crack, a whistle of iron. The cub screams, but it's not a shot, it's panic. It's the sound of a metal jaw slamming shut, a trap, his paw between two blades, blood, crying, and then silence. The mother wakes as if struck by lightning in the spine. She bolts, finds the wounded cub, tries to free him, bites the iron, hurts her mouth. The cub whimpers. The other watches, learns what pain is, learns what man is. The next morning, the jaguar carries the injured cub in her teeth, not as prey, but as a piece of herself that can no longer walk. Her eyes have lost their shine, but inside, an ancient fire burns. A wounded female, a mother with thirst for vengeance. And the man has no idea what he's awakened. The smell of death is not what humans think. It's not just rot, flies, or dried blood. It's denser, subtler. It's the emptiness in the air, the absence of sound where life once pulsed, the metallic taste on the tongue without a wound in the mouth. And now, it is what dominates the forest. The jaguar senses it first in her paw. The ground is too cold. Then in her ears, the birds have stopped singing. Then in her snout, every breeze carries a warning. The territory has been violated, not by another predator, but by something that hunts without hunger, kills without purpose, destroys without guilt. Man has left his mark. The wounded cub agonizes in silence, the trap cut deep. She tries to lick, tries to warm him, but he is dying slowly. The other cub, still healthy, watches, and that gaze, pure fear, helplessness, is like an arrow through the mother's chest. The entire jungle seems to have paused to witness the beginning of morning. But she will not bury, not while there's still breath. She drags the cub in her teeth to a stream, washes his paw, the blood stains the water, fish scatter, monkeys howl in the distance, as if the entire forest whispered, "There's no going back." And then she sees it. Near the banks where once there was only mud and ferns, now there are metal tracks. Paths made by men, not trains, but systematic trails organized with ropes, tire marks, stakes. The forest has been mapped, divided, invaded. Pieces of it are being torn out like organs from a body being dissected. The jaguar smells more traps, catches the scent of diesel, human urine, sour coffee, and rotten meat left as bait. That night, the injured cub stops moving. No cry, no shiver, just stillness, glassy eyes. Breathing ceases. The mother makes no sound. She does not lick. She does not howl. She simply holds him between her paws, as if flesh could still carry soul. The other cub approaches, licks his brother, purrs softly. But nothing stirs that tiny body. It's cold, dead, and the air, heavy with silence, presses down on all living things in the forest, as if the jaguar had buried something deeper than a child, as if she had laid to rest the last illusion of safety. The next morning the jaguar digs with her paws, not like a feline, like a human. She tears at the earth with fury, claws the soil like ripping an organ from the forest. She buries the cub, covers him with leaves, growls, then licks the remaining cub, the one still breathing. Her eyes are no longer the same. They are dark, wet, but not with sorrow, with rage, with an ancient power climbing her spine and exploding in her gaze. She now knows, the men will not stop, and if they won't stop, neither will she. By afternoon she prowls to the forest's edge, places she's never hunted, where the scent of humans is strong, where tree trunks bear knife marks, where animal bones lie piled like perverse offerings. There she finds the first signs that the hunters are not merely killing, they are collecting. Skins stretched, teeth dangling from lines, dried hearts in glass jars. They are turning the jungle into a fetid trophy room, but the forest one is not passive. It watches, it responds, and now, through the jaguar, it prepares its answer. Atop a rock, on the edge of a cliff, the mother jaguar roars for the first time since giving birth. A sound that cuts through trees, branches, trails, that startles even the bats in their caves. It is the cry of a female who has lost, but also of one who will destroy. The jungle darkens ahead of time. The wind shifts, birds flee, and in the hunter's camp, as one cleans his rifle, a distant roar is heard. One of them laughs, the other says, "That was close," but neither understands. It's not just a jaguar, it's the forest screaming through her, and she's already chosen who dies first. The jungle, once pulsing, now feels sick. The roots no longer hum, the trunks do not whisper, the birds have migrated far away. The forest weeps in silence, and the jaguar feels it as if something ancestral were dying, rotting from the inside out, as if every fallen tree carved a hole in the earth's heart. The smell of burnt wood mixes with dried blood and human urine. It's a poisonous mixture, indigestible, a perfume of desecration. And amid this vegetal lament, the jaguar makes a decision no other female of her lineage has ever dared to make: to take her surviving cub beyond the forbidden boundary. That place has a name among the animals, a name never spoken, only avoided: the Black Territory, the Valley of the Dead Trees, a piece of forest once consumed by ancient fires, abandoned even by the crows, where no vegetation grows and the ground reeks of hot death. The elder felines used to say the jungle doesn't breathe there, that the spirits of hunted creatures still wander in pain. But the jaguar does not fear spirits, she fears men. And she knows, where man destroys even the soil, he does not return. It may be the only place where her cub can live one more day. The crossing is brutal. The heat from the ground burns her paws. There is no shade, only skeletons of twisted trees like dead arms begging for mercy. The jaguar advances with her cub clenched between her teeth, eyes ablaze, breath heavy. Behind her, deep and silent footprints are left, scars upon the body of the earth. There, among the vegetal corpses, she begins to see things. First, shapes, then sounds with no source. A whisper, a whistle, not human, but not animal either. Living memories, as if the place bled echoes of everything that ever died there. Deer, anteaters, cubs, even other jaguars. The mother feels it in her body. Her throat tightens. Her limbs grow heavy. She is being watched, but not by something that breathes, by something that remembers. The cub curls up. Tremors ripple through his body. It's not just exhaustion. It's pure fear. The jaguar wraps herself around him, like bark, like a cocoon, but even she begins to tremble. The air here does not enter the lungs. It's too heavy, too filthy. Her mouth fills with thick saliva. Her body wants to collapse, but something holds her up. Instinct. In the distance she sees it. A mound of bones, hundreds, maybe thousands. An informal animal cemetery. At the center, a scorched tree, completely hollow, exhaling a thin, constant white smoke. The jaguar approaches. Inside the tree, marks, claw slashes, fang scrapes, symbols etched like stories. Burned into the wood is a drawing, a jaguar with 3 cubs, her head torn off, her belly opened. The message is clear. They were here before. They killed. They laughed. She backs away but steps on something, a necklace made of teeth of fangs. One of them is feline, cracked, old, covered in moss, a relic of war. The jaguar licks it, tastes it, recognizes it. It's the same scent as the hunter's necklace she saw at the camp. The poachers passed through here, many of them. They left their trophies, but they didn't take everything. The place is cursed. Yet on that poisoned ground, among screams that can't be heard and ashes that never cool, the jaguar discovers something. A path. An old tunnel carved by armadillos and boars, leading to a forgotten valley. There, between mountains and stone, there is still some green, a place where she might hide the cub. But to get there, she must pass through the epicenter of the curse, the clearing of the burned tree, where the bones still vibrate with the heat of the massacre. She closes her eyes for a moment and listens, not with ears but with blood, and what she hears is neither human nor animal. It's a calling, an ancestral voice rising through dead roots, something that says, "Don't run, stay, avenge." But she knows, not yet. It is not yet time for total fury. The cub must live. So she folds her instincts like hidden blades and slips into the tunnel as the jungle behind her watches and whispers. The jaguar has returned, but she is not alive like before. She is possessed. The tunnel, carved by the forest's own agony, is not just a path, it's a throat. The earth swallows the jaguar and her cub like it's chewing on their last hope. Inside, the air is thick, humid, filled with muffled silences and secrets dripping from the roots. The floor isn't layered with leaves, but with remnants, fragments of skeletons, tiny teeth, shards of beak, snapped vertebrae, as if this underground corridor were the intestine of something greater. A living forest, wounded, starving. The jaguar advances with her cub pressed against her belly. Her eyes adjust to the dark. Her night vision captures every pulsing shadow. But here, what matters is not what's seen. It's what's Kakti felt. Because bones speak. Not with words, but with heat, with ancient scent, with memories etched in calcium. Each step is a different whisper. A capybara that died of fright. A tapir torn by hired guns. A manned wolf strung up alive until it dried. The bones tell everything, and the jaguar listens. The cub purrs low, afraid. His body trembles, but the mother holds him with her tail, without stopping. She knows, if she stops here, something will consume her. Not a predator, but the Fapin Pastag, because everything in that tunnel is fossilized grief, and now she is part of it. At the tunnel's end, a rocky exit opens onto a hidden plateau, a secret valley walled by stone, where vegetation still grows wild, still pulses green. Our sacred pocket spared by some ancient pact, but there is no peace here, only unsuspended time. The jaguar steps forward, inspects, lets the cub rest. Her paws sink into the grass as if touching living flesh. The silence is thicker, not the absence of sound, but the presence of listening, as if the trees themselves are paying attention, as if everything here knows she has arrived. She finds a moss-covered stone and lies down, her body completely spent, but her eyes remain open. She sniffs, and then she senses it. Even here, where humans are absent, there are traces of them. A torn piece of military cloth, a rusted bullet, a corroded button. They've been everywhere. They desecrated even the impossible. But when the cub nears the mouth of a cave and begins to bark, the jaguar feels it. Inside, more bones, many, old, but not just animal bones, human ones. Some still with knives lodged between the ribs, a skull cracked by a claw, a spine bitten through. That cave was the scene of something none of them lived to tell. She enters slowly, cub behind, and sees. On the cave walls, marks, primitive carvings, scratched in blood and charcoal. Jaguars, females, cubs, armed men, bonfires, gunshots, but also a circle, a symbol of vengeance. There in that stone womb, the jungle recorded its truth. For every jaguar killed, another rises. For every cub hunted, a spirit awakens. The jaguar licks her cub. Her eyes lock on the wall. And for the first time she understands, she is not just a living creature. She is part of a lineage, a cycle, a curse. The forest does not forget. The bones do not lie. The mother who buried her child now carries the weight of all the others. She is not alone. She is the next one, and perhaps the last. When she exits the cave, she lifts her head. The wind shifts. The scent of men returns. They are approaching. But now it's different. She knows the language of bones. She knows where to strike. She has become the living memory of the jungle. And memories, when they bite, kill slowly. Night falls like a heavy, soaked cloth, torn by the sharp tips of trees. This is no ordinary night. The moon, split in half, hovers above the canopy like a wounded eye. One side glows, the other bleeds shadow. The jaguar, motionless atop the plateau, watches. Her dilated pupils reflect the broken moon like cracked mirrors. The cub sleeps beneath her body, exhausted from the journey, unaware of the omen. But she knows. The forest has warned. This is the night everything turns. The wind carries a familiar scent, not just human. That human. The same stench from the necklace, the same rot that stained the ground when her mate died. He is near, and he is not alone. The jaguar descends with her body pressed to the earth, invisible as shadow, silent as spirit. Each step is a contained declaration of war. She follows the scent like an invisible trail of fire scorching her nostrils until she hears it. Voices, laughter, cracking wood, slurred yells of beer and arrogance. Men, 4, 5, made of meat and ego, sitting around a fire, speaking loudly, too foolish to notice that the forest isn't quiet. It's waiting. One of them lifts a necklace. It's him, the old one, the killer. Weathered skin, wrinkled like worn leather, pale eyes, sunken, devoid of empathy. He holds the fang necklace and says something like, "This was my greatest kill." The others laugh. One raises a rifle, another shows off a dried ear hanging from a string, trophies, relics of others' pain. They laugh, but the forest around them does not. It doesn't breathe, it only waits. The jaguar watches them, from above, from the top of a stone, still as a statue that thinks, but the blood inside her boils like a lava river, her eyes locked on that necklace, on that man, on the crackling fire. The smoke rises, carrying the scent of roasted meat, feline meat. She knows it. They are eating jaguar. Her jaw tightens, her jaw muscles pulse, but she doesn't strike, not yet. The cub is hidden, and she knows, if she attacks without precision, she dies, Joyce, and everything dies with her. She must choose who dies first. One of the men steps away to urinate, into the woods, laughing to himself, calls out to the others, no answer. Then he feels it. The wind stops. The sound fades. The leaves don't move, and the scent shifts. He turns slowly and sees 2 yellow eyes, fixed, shining, unblinking. The first scream is never heard. The throat closes before it. The claw opens the abdomen with ancestral precision. The entrails spill, warm. He's still standing when the blood rolls down his neck. Then, silence. The others notice too late. One says, "Where's Tonino?" And the forest replies with a dry sound, a branch snapping. Or was it a bone? The old man stands, necklace on his chest, points the rifle, the others back away. Confusion, tension, a shadow moves between them, a crack, a shot into the dark. Nothing. Silence returns. But now, it's terrifying. The fire quivers. The flames dance as if they know what comes. And then, she appears, not as beast, but as legend. Her body emerges from the darkness like it's rising from the earth itself. Her eyes don't shine. They burn. Her fur soaked in blood, her claws wet, mud, her jaw locked. The men scream, but their voices do not reach her. Because she is no longer just a jaguar. She is a curse given shape, a vengeance with teeth. She doesn't run. She walks, looks at each one, chooses. And when she leaps, the entire sky seems to fall. The split moon bleeds over the branches. The forest awakens in roars. The men's screams go unheard, because the forest swallows them, one by one. The old man fires. The bullet hits her shoulder. She staggers, but does not flee. She bleeds, but does not feel pain, because under that torn moon her body is only a vessel. She is the jungle's spirit with claws, and he is still alive, but not for long. He runs, not from instinct, that's long gone. He runs from fear, the kind that rots from within, that rips the man from the body and leaves behind nothing but flesh, flung by its own despair. The old hunter stumbles through mud, slips in the blood of a dead friend, can no longer tell earth from leaves or leaves from flesh. The rifle weighs like a cross. His breath claws his throat, and the heart, it doesn't beat. It hammers, because he understood too late. The jungle is no place to hunt gods. He was raised in brutality. Son of a rancher, grandson of a mule driver, he killed his first ocelot at 12 with a borrowed shotgun. He collected skins like others collect sins. Each shot was a silencing of the forest, but now he feels it, as if every eye he ever extinguished is looking back, and their leader wears stained fur and eyes that never blink. The jaguar doesn't run after him. She hunts as if her paws beat a drum. Each step a strike, each leap a chord of fury. She's already bleeding. Her shoulder throbs, her rib slowly tears. But she moves forward, because pain is not a limit. It's a vow. The old man hides inside a stone crevice, a rocky formation he used as shelter on past hunts. Inside, he loads the rifle with trembling hands, aims at the entrance, finger on the trigger, fang necklace pressed to his sweaty chest. He whispers a crooked prayer. But the sound that answers isn't human. It's a low, wet, deep growl. The kind that doesn't come from the throat. It comes from the spine. And it's inside the cave. She entered before him. Her eyes glow in the depths where even the flashlight dies. The rifle shakes. The man pulls the trigger. Nothing. It jams. He screams, but the scream is swallowed by the living dark. When she leaps, it's as if the cave itself erupts in fur and claws. The impact slams the old man against the wall. The weapon drops. He scrambles for a knife. But the jaguar bites his arm as if tearing away the memory of every shot he ever fired. The bone snaps. Blood pours. But Shikdu doesn't kill. Not yet. She looks into his eyes, and there, in that void of a gaze that never held remorse, she searches, looks for a spark, some regret. She finds none. Then she licks his face, slowly, as if tasting guilt, and leaves him alive. Because some wounds are worse than death, she drags his body to the cave's mouth, and growls so loud the trees shake, then spits the broken rifle onto his chest, places the fang necklace on top, and walks away, not out of mercy, but out of justice. Because now he is a warning, a breathing corpse. At dawn, the old man wakes with a useless arm, a dry mouth, a face slashed with claw marks. The other hunters are no more. Some torn apart, others swallowed by the forest. And the camp? Scorched, as if the jungle itself had lit matches of revenge. He crawls toward the nearest river, but every animal he encounters ignores him. Vultures won't peck, frogs won't leap, snakes won't flee. He has become part of the forest, but not as predator, as a walking curse. Meanwhile, the jaguar returns to the hidden valley. The cub waits. His wide eyes shine. Upon seeing her, he limps toward her, wounded paw dragging. She licks him, closes her eyes, and for the first time since birth, she purrs. But high above, from the branch of a tree, an owl watches, and in the whispering wind, the jungle repeats a new truth. A hunter has been marked, and the mark he carries never heals, because now he is the hunted. The secret valley, once a sanctuary, is now a cocoon of tension. The cub, the last, no longer nurses with appetite. It's not hunger he lacks, it's safety. His once curious eyes now search for shadows. His small body recoils at the slightest sound. Every crack is a threat, every breeze a warning. Fear is no longer reflex. It's a layer on his skin, inherited, passed through the mother's gaze, through the way she moves, the way she breathes, the way she never sleeps. The jaguar is changed. Her thick fur covers fresh scars. Her breath is short, uneven, as if each waking second is fueled by pure hatred. Her body no longer moves by biological need. It moves by mission. The forest tries to rebuild itself around her, but she won't allow it. She walks like a sentinel, sniffing the wind, listening to stones touching the earth with the tips of her claws. Every step is a calculation, every sound a potential threat, because she knows they return. They always return. She tries to teach the cub to hunt, to chase small rodents, but he doesn't play, he doesn't pounce. He hides behind rocks, not because he is weak, but because he already understands the world isn't a game, it's an ambush. His instinct was born branded by the loss of his brother, by the escape from the den, by the night of screams. Now the forest's lessons come stained with blood and caution. The mother watches. She doesn't force, but she decides. If the cub cannot learn through play, he will learn through survival. That night she takes him to the edge of the valley, there where the scorched earth begins again, where the trunks are black with burn marks and branches bear machete wounds. They move beneath a clouded sky. The moon is absent. Everything smells of old smoke. There she digs, hard, fast, until she unearths what remains of the first cub. Tiny bones, pieces of skull, a paw still caught in a rusted trap. The scent is strong. She pushes the living cub toward the remains. He tries to retreat. She blocks him, forces him to see, to smell, to remember. It is not cruelty. It is preparation. Because what's coming cannot be faced with gentleness, only with trauma. She pushes the cub again. He growls for the first time. Weak, high-pitched, but he growls. She purrs in response, approves. Then she buries the remains again. But now the cub carries the scent of his dead brother, and with it, the oath. Back in the shelter, she curls her body into an arc, walling him in, but she doesn't sleep. Not a muscle softens, because the wind has changed. Their scent has returned. They are regrouping, and this time, they are not 5. They are 10. And they didn't come to hunt. They came to eradicate. A new group, more prepared. Men with radios, with GPS, with orders, with fear. Because the old hunter, the one who survived, spoke too much. Now they want to erase the trail. Erase the story, but the story, Anne, has fangs, and it breathes, and it teaches, and it bites. Deep in the den, the cub does not sleep. His eyes remain open, locked into the dark. But now, he doesn't tremble. He waits, because the forest has accepted him as heir, and when it calls, no cub says no. The forest holds its breath. Not even the insects dare to buzz. The humidity clings to the bones like the sweat of a cornered beast. It is the eve, the day when the wind stops and the natural world bows before the unnameable. The arrival of men with uniforms, orders, maps, weapons that spit fire and control. But this time, they come not only with fury, they come with intelligence. The new group brings no beer, no laughter. These are second-generation predators, forged not in hunts for prey, but in campaigns to dominate whatever still resists. They install ground sensors, camouflaged cameras in trees. They spray synthetic pheromones into the air. They weave an invisible web of sound and scent, an architecture of containment and destruction. At the center of the trap is a wounded animal, a fawn, legs broken, mouth muzzled. Placed at the exact point where the jaguar's tracks converge, the bait lives, but it won't live long. They call it population control. The plan is simple: capture the female alive, showcase the success, ship her away, sell, study, kill slowly. But what they don't know is that the jaguar has already seen them, already smelled the rubber of their boots, the grease of their weapons, the glue on their tags, the lie in their voices. She has already circled the perimeter. She understood the plan. And more, she has decided to enter the game. Back at the den, the cub watches the mother prepare. There's no ceremony, only method. She licks her fur until it bleeds to spread her scent, then rolls in mud and tapir dung. She erases herself, becomes shadow, then licks the cub one last time. Long, warm, deep, like sealing a pact, and leaves, alone, without looking back. Near the trap, she doesn't strike. She waits, watches from above. The men monitor her on screens, but see nothing. The system says she's 50 meters away, then 100, then 200. Error, confusion, signals scramble. One sensor dies, then another, because she deactivated it with her paw, because she learned. One man steps away to check the cable. He doesn't return. The second calls him over the radio. No response. Tension rises. The third approaches cautiously, finds the camera ripped out, and on the ground, a trail, not of footprints, but of blood. Then he realizes the jaguar is already inside. The trap, designed to contain the beast, is now an arena, and the beast is the judge. The first strike is a tear, a scream, a jet of blood flying through the air like macabre confetti. The second is silent, a neck snapped with surgical precision. The third takes longer. She lets the man see, his face frozen in pure fear. She doesn't bite right away, circles, watches, sniffs, and then removes his face with one swipe. The command center panics. They try to call for evacuation, but the network's down, power's out. GPS lost signal because the jaguar cut the wires. Because her teeth don't just bite flesh. Now they bite infrastructure. By nightfall, only one remains. The last man, the one who designed the plan, the specialist. He hides in the truck, locks the doors, turns on the headlights, The light cuts through the forest like a knife through living flesh, but everything is silent, too silent, until she appears, on the hood, eyes locked on him, teeth exposed, breath steady. She doesn't attack. She watches, then simply walks away, not out of mercy, but because he's not worth the blood. At dawn, the base is silent, broken equipment, bodies scattered, the fawn freed limps through the woods, and atop the hill the jaguar returns to the cub. She is wounded, but standing. The cub approaches, touches his nose to hers, purrs, and for the first time, he growls. A deep sound, a new sound, a sound that says, "Now it's me." The forest heard, the jungle has learned, and the final wind blew, not to warn, but to bury. The forest is soaked in blood and silence. The day begins without birds, without voices, without sun. Only a pale, dirty light drips between the branches like pus. The jungle is in mourning, but not for itself. It mourns for the men who don't yet know they're already dead, because they came with manuals, radios, calculated targets, but forgot one thing. You don't walk into a living cathedral with filthy boots. And now, the jungle demands tithe. At the top of a clearing where trees form a perfect circle, the jaguar stands, upright, tall. The wound in her shoulder bleeds quietly. Her mouth is dry, her eyes sunken, but she doesn't retreat. She is there not as prey, not even as predator. She is there as a witness of all that was taken, of all that was violated, and of all that is about to befall. They come, the last men, the remnants, better armed, better prepared, helicopters above, commands in their ears, studied tactics, tracking dogs, drones. One of them says, "It's just a jaguar, not a demon." But he's wrong. She's not a jaguar anymore. She is the Gecko of them all, the one who lost her cub, the one whose skin was peeled, the one who burned alive, the one who died without ever seeing the open sky. She carries them all, and now, through her, the jungle will scream. The first shot misses, the bullet tears into a tree, the wood bleeds, the jaguar moves like smoke, slashes one soldier's leg. He falls, screaming, but the scream is drowned in the mud. Another runs to help, loses his neck in the process. The killing is not clean, not fast, it is ritual. She doesn't want just to kill, she wants to mark, to teach. For every dead man, she slashes a nearby tree with her claws, a line, a symbol, as if writing a new language on the world's bark. In the chaos, one drone falls, taken down by a loose rock, or maybe a bird who decided it's had enough. The helicopter noise fades, the winds shift, the forest's scent changes, and the jaguar roars. But it's not just any roar, it's a summon. Not for other felines, but for everything still alive, and everything answers. Tapirs burst from the undergrowth, trampling men in panic. Armadillos roll like stones between their feet. A troop of monkeys screams from above, throwing branches, fruit, excrement, not in rage but in alliance. The jungle as a body moves. Roots uncoil. Branches strike like limbs. The ground sinks. The forest has become an organism of attack. The commander tries to flee, shouts for retreat. But there's no command left. Only confusion, noise, panic. One soldier fires in circles, another cries, another kneels. But she, the jaguar, advances. She bleeds, but doesn't fall. Steps on the commander's chest, stares. He begs, speaks of family, of science, of money. She listens, and then she roars. A roar that fractures time, that cracks the spine of the wind, that makes even dead birds shift in their nests. A roar that splits men from within, not their bodies, their beliefs. She doesn't bite. She destroys their faith, that everything can be conquered, that the jungle is just scenery, that life can be tamed. The few who escape never return, never sleep again, never speak the same, because they heard. They heard the cry of a mother who gave birth in blood, loved in silence and killed with justice. They heard the jungle alive. They heard the real world. At the top of the clearing, under the stained sky, the jaguar returns. The cub comes from the brush, finds his mother covered in blood and leaves. They stare, then touch, then together, they dig a hole with their paws, toss in the remains of a boot, and bury it, not out of mercy, but out of respect, for war, for death, for the end of a cycle. And the forest, for the first time in a long while, breathes. She walks, not in haste, not in pain, but with the weight of the world in her ribs. Her skin is dirty, raw, pulsing. Her paws torn by thorns, scars reopened, flies buzzing over dry blood. But she keeps going, because now she is no longer just a jaguar. She is myth in motion, flesh stitched with memory, claws sharpened by history, eyes that have seen the truth no human dared to accept. The forest has a soul, and it bleeds. The clearing is empty. The bodies of the men have been swallowed by the very earth they disrespected. The helicopters left without rescuing anyone. The radio signals have stopped. The digital net was devoured by organic chaos. What remains is whisper and death, but not just any death, a death that teaches. She crawls to a moss-covered stone, where an ancient symbol lies carved with the claws of beasts that came before. A circle, an eye, a claw, the mark of mothers who died protecting their young. The forest's altar. The jaguar lies there. The cub presses his snout to her side, purrs, but she does not respond. She's weak, her breathing shallow. Each breath a farewell, but the forest does not let her go in silence. Everything around begins to tremble. Ants stop. Leaves spin in the air without wind. Thunder rolls in the distance, even without clouds. And from the earth, beneath the stone, rises a white smoke, dense, fragrant, ancient, the breath of animal spirits. The jaguar lifts her head, her eyes shine. The cub steps back, but does not flee. He knows. The smoke wraps around the mother's body. She does not resist. She closes her eyes and then vanishes, not like magic, not as physical disappearance, but as a transition. The body remains, but it's no longer mere flesh. It's a symbol, a legacy. Her skin begins to grow leaves. Her paws harden like roots. Her eyes, still open, turn to black stone. And in minutes, the body is no longer a body. It is a tree, a new tree, sprouting in the exact center of the war clearing, fast, solid, dark, with golden stripes on its leaves and thorns on its roots. No one saw it grow, but now it stands there and it will never be removed. The cub approaches the tree's base, sniffs, recognizes, presses his head against it, and cries. A low sound, deep, like an ancestral chant, as if the world's entire grief passed through his throat, but it doesn't last. He pulls away, grown now. He walks alone, without his mother, but not orphaned, because she is everywhere. In the wind, in the mud, in the rustling leaves, in the sound of the river. And above all, finds her within him. Hunters never return. Those who try feel the forest turn against them. Maps fade. GPS goes mad. Sounds mimic human voices that lead into abyss. Because now, something is guarding. And every new animal born in the forest is already born with the memory of the roar, of the blood, of the mother who became a tree. Because the beast does not die. Shimame becomes a temple, and no temple allows itself to be trampled. At day's end, the cub, now young, climbs a high rock, looks over the forest and roars, not like a cub, but like an heir, like a living prophecy. Time passes as only the jungle allows, not in days, but in pulses. Rain falls like rebirth, sun scorches like trial. Night drapes everything in the cloak of those who endure, and at the heart of this forest that bled and rose again, he grows. The cub, now young, is no longer a shadow of what was lost. He is flame-born of what came after. A long body, steady paws, eyes dark as wells. He no longer trembles at the crack of branches, no longer hides at the scent of human blood. He hunts, and more. He remembers, but he is not alone. Others have come. 3, 4, 5 cubs, orphans of slaughtered jaguars, found in hidden valleys, between stones and vines, each one marked by absence and pain. They are not siblings by blood, but by our bleeding. They recognized each other by their gaze, by the way they scent danger before sound, how they move without a noise, how they feed without rush, chewing not only the meat, but the meaning of meat. And the young one, the heir, teaches, leads them to the tree, the one that was once mother, beast, justice. The den became temple, the tree an altar. They lie at its roots like disciples, press their foreheads to the bark, purr low. Feel the sap vibrate like a pulse. There is no doctrine there, only your instinct passed as spiritual inheritance. That night, the entire jungle pauses, because the first collective hunt is about to begin. They follow the young one. The trail is not prey, it is revenge. There is human scent at the border of the territory. A new group. Explorers, they say. Biologists, they say, with GPS, tablets, drones, with false smiles and intentions masked as science. But one of them wears a tooth necklace. Another carries a shotgun for safety. A third photographs the forest as if stealing pieces with flash. The young jaguars don't attack immediately. They study. As the mother taught, one rolls in mud, erases the trail. Another climbs a tree and leaps onto a backpack, tearing only the zipper. A warning, a whisper from the forest saying, "We see you," but they ignore it. So, the game begins. On the second night, the humans wake to shredded tents. No sound, no injury, but everything turned over, as if an entity had touched them in their sleep. One scientist wants to leave. The leader insists. They're just animals. On the third night, a drone falls. Then, a GPS dies. Then, the humans' own tracks vanish. They get lost in the jungle despite maps. The compass spins wildly. The radio crackles with voices that sound like theirs, but are not. They are engineered echoes, voices shaped by the jungle. And then on the fourth night, the first one disappears. No scream, no fight, just an empty mattress, a dropped flashlight, and a trail of blood leading to the river. The second tries to run, but trips on a branch that shouldn't be there. The branch has claws, the branch bites, the branch vanishes with him. In the end, only one remains, the one with the necklace. He is wounded, not by claw, but by fear. The forest breathes around him like a giant beast, every tree an eye, every leaf an ear. He runs, but the ground sucks at his steps. Air refuses his lungs, his own legs become his prison, and when he falls to his knees, sweating, crying, begging, they appear. The five, the orphans, the avengers, the children of the forest. They surround him slowly. The leader steps forward, sniffs, touches his forehead with his snout, and roars. A short roar, low, educational. Then, they don't kill him. They let him go. With torn clothes, a marked face, a broken necklace, and a truth etched into his bones. The jungle remembers. The jungle has cubs, and now it has doctrine. Back in civilization, no one believes him. They say it was animals, fever, delirium, but he knows. And worse, they know that he knows. Because at night, in any forest, in any corner of the country, the roars return. And those who hear them never sleep the same again. They're no longer roars, no longer screams. Now, the forest whispers. A humid, warm, deep sound that drips down the vines like snake venom and slips into the ear of anyone foolish enough to step where they were not invited. The whisper has no human tongue, yet those who hear it understand. Not through words, but through dread. Not through logic, but through the body. That chill up the spine before an accident. The shiver before the shot. The certainty before the fall. It is the forest speaking. It is the past answering. Nearby villages stop hunting jaguars. Elders say the mother has returned. Shamans watch the sky shift. Shamanism whispers a tale too old to be written. The story of the Haut greenkeeper, the Ham ancestral female, the one who becomes tree, becomes stone, becomes silence, but never becomes death, because she does not die. She circulates, and suddenly reports emerge. In far-off cities, in laboratories, on farms, scientists claim to have seen paw prints in urban areas. Security cameras catch glowing eyes in the night. Farmers awaken to mutilated cattle, yet no alarms were triggered. A forest patrol drone disappears mid-flight, and when it's found, it's caked in mud, marked with claws, and a red flower grows in the middle of its propellers. Institutional panic begins. The government wants answers. A new expedition is dispatched, but this time, not even radios return, not even satellites. Only a backpack floating down a river, with the word "go back" scrawled in charcoal. At the same time, the people begin to speak. In markets, on the radio, on social media. Blurred videos appear, trembling voices, songs interrupted by unexplainable sounds. In one of them, a broadcaster says, "We interrupt this program to say, she's coming," and the feed goes dead. But the most important sign isn't on screens, it's in the stones. Because 1 month later, a new rock appears in the forest. No one saw it brought, no one carried it, but it's there, covered in moss, etched with claws, a mural, telling the whole story. The stone shows the mother jaguar, shows the cubs, shows the armed men, shows the fire, the death, the tree, the return, and at the center of the carving, the eyes. 2 black circles, deep, just like the eyes of the first female. And below, a phrase that no one reads but everyone feels. "Whoever dares without respect shall be taught through pain." Indigenous people dance around the stone. Children listen to elders as if listening to thunder. And the animals draw near. Anteaters, armadillos, deer, caimans, all watching in silence, because they know the jungle is whole again. The 5 young jaguars, the trained orphans, now live apart, each in a different direction, each guarding a frontier, each one a boundary, and all of them at night beneath the full moon stop, sit, look to the sky and hear the same whisper, a calling, a summons. The jaguar mother wants more. She wants the borders to expand. She wants humans to learn. She wants fear to be planted, and she wants every tree to have eyes. Because the ancients now, they speak, and they speak with rage. She is legend, but not legend as humans like, with beginning, middle, and end. She is cycle, a fragment of eternity that bleeds through the forest's cracks, hides in the shadow of leaves, growls through the night's corridors. The jaguar mother no longer exists as flesh, but she has never been more alive, because now she doesn't inhabit a body, she inhabits a continent. And everything that is green, everything that still breathes without pavement, belongs to her. They say that on dark sky nights, when the wind blows backwards and the birds fall silent, she appears, not as a beast, but as an omen. A sound in the brush, a glint, a drop of blood where no one passed, and then, immediately after, the fall. A hunter disappears. A tractor catches fire on its own. A drone crashes in clear skies. No one sees, no one records, but everyone feels. The 5 orphans are now adults, full-grown jaguars, guardians of entire regions of the forest. They're not just protectors, they are seeds of expansion. Each teaches another, and each of those teaches one more. They don't always kill, because in death is outcome. Before it comes, teaching. And what spreads through the jungle isn't just fear, it's respect. Because the forest has an owner again. And then, something shifts. At the edge of a ranch where concrete eats trees and cattle piss on ancient roots, a construction halts, not due to bankruptcy, but due to agony. Workers report visions. Growls echo from inside pipes. Paw prints appear in fresh cement. The machines shut down at night. One morning, an engineer wakes up with claw marks on his face, remembering nothing. The company backs out, cancels, because something is warning. And the warning spreads farther. In the capital, a politician who advocated for legalized hunting is found locked inside his own car, in shock, not dead, but unable to speak. The only sound he makes, over and over, is a muffled growl, as if there's a memory stuck in his throat. The media tries to suppress it, but the videos leak, the images circulate, and the names emerge. The jungle mother, the goddess of claws, the spotted curse. She becomes a modern myth. But the jungle doesn't want myth, it wants distance. In the forest, the cult grows, not among humans, but among species. Animals that once competed now share space. Predation among the small ones drops, because the greater fear unifies. Her silent reverence for the order that she was born from blood. The forest becomes a human civilization without cities. And then, a military helicopter crosses the sky, sent to investigate hostile activity. One final attempt at control. They bring specialists, weapons, technology. But when they fly over the clearing where the jaguar mother was last seen, everything fails. The instruments glitch, the signals vanish, the compass spins madly, the rotor locks. And the last thing the onboard camera records is a pair of golden eyes from inside a tree that breathes. Cut, black screen, silence. The next day, only the wreckage of the helicopter is found, empty, dry, as if no one was ever inside. And on the ground in the mud, a single paw print, huge, sharp, alone, in its center, a flower. The jungle has closed the chapter, not out of revenge, but out of his evolution. And now, anyone who walks its paths must ask permission, must tread silently, with lowered eyes, with a clean heart, because the jaguar mother still lives, not as beast, but as curse, as law, as a spirit armed with claw. And those who do not understand will learn, through pain, through loss, through the final roar.